What's up, gamers? We're back. It's another Yu-Gi-Oh video. I know. I can't stop. However, I'm here to bring everyone to a concluding standstill in the war against me. I'm here to make another fucking tier list video. First and foremost, this is going to be post blue. I forgot to put blue eyes in here. One second. Okay, problem solved. I fixed it. I got blue eyes back in here. So this will be post the blue eyes structure deck. So first and foremost, let's get the big ones out of the way. YUGIOH and Malice are still the two best decks currently, in my honest opinion. YUGIOH is fantastic. It kind of just makes it. It does so much so little that the deck, honestly, you have to hit a lot of in-engine cards for this deck to be stopped, relatively. And of course, there's other variants like the Mitsurugi stuff. There's of course Fiendsmith variants, right? Even pure. I mean, there was a Madolche YUGIOH top in the OCG. I think that's a very based deck, by the way. I need to find that deck list because whoever built Madolche YUGIOH, congrats to you because you made that work and I like it. But YUGIOH can do so much. X, Send, Mirror Logic Aggregator. You go X Chain Link 1, Mirror Logic, and Gate Soaking Chain Link 2. And your opponent has to answer that because if you can't deal with the Mirror Logic Aggregator, it's going to do it again every single time. It's so very low to the ground, but it's so very high in the ceiling as well because the deck has access to the entire rank full pool. And it's just going to keep getting better with when we're going to get 7th Tachyon, which is in like a week and a half from now. The deck's still insane. And of course, Malice on the other hand, Mr. Number 2 in the room, it's still fantastic. It's going to get both decks are going to get support in Alliance Inside come May, but I think Malice might take it over YUGIOH because eventually we're going to get a ban list between now and by the time Alliance Inside drops. Because of that, I think Malice might come out ahead depending on how things go. And the deck, of course, being generic as it is, still plays the generic cyber stuff, and it still has access to all that cyber stuff. White Bind is still fantastic. Heart's Cryptor is still a non-targetable negate that cannot be negated, or banished that cannot be negated. Ransom is also very good. It also can just resort to beatdown tactics if you have all 3 traps banished. I don't think it will happen at some point, but it could come up and it's really good. The deck, still utilizes all the generic cyber stuff. It's still great. It's still fantastic. It has still have yet to win a YCS though, and I think that's very funny, but it will get there. It will win one. Except, I love heroes. I love heroes. Believe me, I love heroes. But the new stuff from Supreme Darkness is very conflicting because heroes already play like 4 or 5 one-ofs in the deck itself already. Things like Plasma, Denier, and the deck didn't really need new one-ofs. What the deck really needed is finding a way to cut Vision Hero Increased and Ferris. Vion is like one of the most important cards of the deck because it searches Polymerization and sends Malicious to the graveyard. But there's so much hoops and hurdles that the deck does in order to get to Vion. That means you're playing Ferris, you're also playing Increase. It sucks. And the new evil hero stuff, it's really good. But it's a variant of the deck that is slightly worse than the Omni Hero stuff. You want to play the Omni Hero stuff with it, but there's so much confliction because there's a bunch of one-ofs. Infernal Rider's a one-of. Toxic Bubble's a one-of. Doom, I think he's called Doom Prison. Doom Prison, it sends a hero to the graveyard as cost. You can send a Malicious, very good, or send a Shadowmist, very good. But the deck, it gives the deck a lot more layered interaction, right? It could search Super Poly. The Super Poly target, Neos Lord, he's fine. He's alright. But it doesn't justify, because at that point you're definitely going past 40. And the deck is still very good because it could just play through just about anything. But I hate the fact that you're playing so many one-ofs and the ratios are so screwed. It's hard trying to justify a build that you're playing all the good hero stuff all in one and you're down to like 45 cards. And that's fine. But if you're pushing past 45, it's going to be rough trying to play it. Because you still have to justify playing the hand traps like Ash and Burn, Fool Lost, stuff like that, right? It sucks. I love heroes though, but I think their time in the sun will come another day. I do got Gimmick Puppets here. Gimmick Puppets is getting a new card in Maze of the Masters in Fiendish Knight. The deck could still kind of reliably FTK, but since everyone's on Nibiru, Droll, especially now, you're getting that one search for the rank up magic spell, and they hit you Droll. The game is over for you at that point. You can't do anything after that because you have to search 2 or 3 more times in order to realistically FTK, and it sucks because if at any point you get Drolled, game is over for you. Your opponent kills you on the crackback, but the deck can still FTK though, and that's the crazy part. Even with 1 Dark Strings and Strings, they can still reliably FTK because there's like 800 other ways they can just do it. Cards like Metaltronus. But speaking of Metaltronus, Malice has been playing Metaltronus because you can use that to out Detonator, by the way. Crazy, isn't it? But speaking of it, Metaltronus can also just get you some of the Gimmick Puppet XYs because they all are dark machines. So, you can do some funny stuff with that. Before I get to Ancient Gears, I'm putting Agro Stars right here. This is another continuous trap deck that got released in Supreme Darkness, and none of them are like really good. I wouldn't say they're like penis bad, but I think I would rather play Paleos over this deck. I mean, I played the Odeon stuff, then Paleos, then this. There isn't really a coherent game plan for the Agro Stars besides get a bunch of the continuous spell traps. I think that the deck could do something crazy if they get like a circular like card, but at the current moment, Argus Stars, you are currently the least favorite deck on this list at the current moment. Ancient Gears, again, I love Ancient Gears. When they get statue, understand I will be playing Ancient Gears. I love the deck. I love hitting them really hard. Chaos Ancient Gear Giant, hit him directly for 4,500. I love it. With Tenpai out of commission because of Chandra and Kaiman being limited to 1, I believe it was Kaiman. It was one of those 2. I do think Ancient Gears and the other deck I have here, Glad Beast, I think those 2 decks are now going to be the premier going second OTK Unga Bunga deck now. I love Ancient Gears a little bit more over Glad Beast, mainly because I love hitting them really hard with a mechanized melee with Ancient Gear Golem. Hit them real hard, bud. I really like it. The deck still has its problems. You can't really do much. You need like a 2-card combo. You need specific cards to get the combo rolling. And if at any point your opponent drops a Nibiru, it's game over because you cannot commit to the OTK after that Nibiru. There's also a card called Ryziel Detonator that kind of pops cards, and Gear Town will miss timing because it gets popped as Chain Link 2, not Chain Link 1. Yeah, it's not good. Not good at all. We do got Fortress though. We got a Reaper of Fortress, and it's really good, but Fortress can only do so much, right? It can only do so much. I do got Sharks here. I love Sharks. I love me Sharks. They're just going to keep getting level 4 fishes. We got Toad. Understand, we do got Toad here. And it's really good. But it falls on the same problem that it's going to just make Toad like 2 or 3 times. You might make a Stealth Kraken. But that's basically it. You're just basically making Toad Turbo. I really love the deck though. I do think that it's one of the other premier Xyz archetypes that can kind of do a whole lot. It can kind of do a lot, but there's so many problems with the deck. Mainly that there's only like 2 main normal summons and 2 1-card starters, and it sucks because I do think Sharks really got the potential to do it. I really love Sharks. Um, I do got Chris Strong. We'll put Chris Strong here at the top of B at the current moment. I'm still trying to decide how. These are not like tiered except for these right here. Riser 1, Malice 2. Everything else is just, I'm placing them right there. I like the Chris Strong got new support in Supreme Darkness, and it's fantastic. No Hockey Firebacks, but we don't need the Hockey Firebacks because Chris Strong can just do it without it. My main problem with it is that a lot of the cards didn't get reprinted, so I think the Synchro got confirmed to be reprinted, but I think he's still missing Citri. But that's basically it. I mean, like, it's hard to get those kind of cards, but the deck is still great. It makes a really good use of the machine synchros that we have that it can go into. A lot of quick synchros are fantastic. I am not going to try to pronounce this synchro specific name, but this is a very good synchro. I do think Chris Strong got a lot going for it. I mean, hey, I believe it got top 8 at YCS Sydney. I know it topped at YCS Sydney, so I'm glad that it did. Now, if we do get Halka Firebrax back, understand that Chris Strong could be top 3 right now if it ever gets Hulk back, because Hulk fixes all the other problems with this deck. If he got Hulk, it fixes everything about it, right? Don't even think. Turn your brain off. Don't even think about it. Blue Eyes. I love me Blue Eyes. It's Blue Eyes. The structure deck release, Blue Eyes, is very good. New Maiden, is great. Of course, they got a link one that searches the field spell. Would you look at that, right? Of course, Blue Eyes, being centered around a normal monster, also synergizes with the Primite stuff, and there's a reason why Primite Load peaked at like $80-something. It was pretty insane. Of course, that's not the only variant of the Blue Eyes. You can play pure. You can literally buy 3 structure decks. You got a playset of Ash, Nibiru, Valor, Imperms, a Cold Buy. That's 13 hand traps right there. That's about standard of how much you should be playing. You can play pure. The Blue Eyes structure deck does a lot. The new synchro that they got, the Ultimate Spirit Dragon, fantastic. Cannot banish cards from the graveyard, meaning Bestials say no. They say no to Bestials. That's great. And of course, you can also play Invoked. You run a small Alistair. Run a small invocation engine. 3 Alistair, a Magical Meltdown, and Invocation. You can make Mechaba off of that. Really good. You can also run the, funny enough, Buster Blader version. We are playing Buster Blader again. Since Malice is running like 7-8 Bestials now. I don't think Rise was playing Bestials as far as I remember. But you're playing, you're playing a bunch of Bestials. Big boy Buster Blader, Destruction Swordsman. He is going to swing real hard at your opponent. It's a very funny build. Again, you can play any version of the Blue Eyes deck that you'd like. The fact that Konami made another competitive structure deck right out the gate, you could buy 3, play it right out the gate. It's great. It's fantastic. I do think Blue Eyes, if the funniest outcome of the Blue Eyes deck is that if Konami hits Malice and Rousey really hard and Blue Eyes wins Worlds, this would be the funniest thing. I know Kaiba slipped a check to Konami. He says you could check it in your mailbox a week after Worlds. It would be the funniest thing to ever happen. But I think that Blue Eyes is a very strong contender right now in the current meta, and I think that it could have what it takes to actually win a YCS and maybe Worlds. If it wins Worlds, it'll be the funniest outcome. Understand? It'll be very funny. Now, we do got a TCG exclusive archetype here with Mitsurugi. Now, Mitsurugi is currently played in Rise of Variants because the 2 main deck monsters are level 4s. The rituals are level 8, but the level 8's really good. Both of the level 8 rituals are really good because one's a board wipe and a negate, and one's recursion. They all have a nice resource loop within each other because if the normal special summon or tributed they get effects. Now, they have a spell, ritual spell, that rituals from deck. It's branded fusion for rituals. You tribute 2 monsters from deck and summon a ritual from your hand. I'm sorry, but that's really good. The fact that they got a branded fusion for rituals immediately puts this deck on notice, because there are very few cards, like Shadow Fusion, for example, right? It's been so long, right? We got branded fusion, things like that sends cards from the deck to graveyard, but the fact that it tributes them as part of the effect, so that way the 2 main deck monsters trigger, is insane. I think when we do get the second wave of support in, I believe, Alliance Insight, the deck has so much going for it that it might be like you could just play it pure. I've seen some Ogdoadic versions. My cousin's playing it. It is very funny, because the Ogdoadics tribute as part of their cost, and they get all of them trigger. There's also been, I believe, just the Rising variants, and of course the pure ones. But I do think that the Mitsurugi stuff has a lot of potential to be really good. Now, of course, we do need the second wave of support, but I think it will have a lot of going for it. So now, I do got some other backups here. Mermail's pretty good. It's the new stuff that they got from Supreme Darkness and Rage of the Abyss is really good for the deck. I mean, hey, don't you love the Trigger Dragoons in the graveyard? Who doesn't love the Trigger Dragoons in the graveyard? I'm not as informed about this deck, but I do think it has a lot going for it. The main problem is that this deck lives and dies if at any point Dimensional Shifter gets activated. If Shifter is activated, you send the Dragoons, your turn is done. I'm sorry, but you are not getting that Dragoons activation. Mind you, a lot of these decks live and die by Dimensional Shifter, right? You gotta understand that Dimensional Shifter is one of the big 3 you gotta watch out for, because Mouse is running it main deck. Second, there's also the Mold Charmers, Perulia, Meowless, and Fumalos. A lot of these decks can't really play under, like for example, Heroes goes through the extra, like 6 or 7 times in the extra deck. That's 7 draws off of Fumalos alone. Ancient Gears goes through maybe 2, 3, maybe 4. That's much more manageable, because you're going to have to play the game where, how many cards am I willing to give my opponent? 1, 2, that's fine. 7, I gotta stop that, right? But with Dragoons, the deck, what I guess Mermail Lancian, right? Because they kind of finally just brought it together. The new support lets it go second, which is what it really needs. Not only that, but they got, I believe, what's his name? The Shadow Squad? Mermail, I believe it's called Shadow Squad, is not only a Mermail, but it's also treated as an Atlantean. And it gets either a Mermail Atlantean from deck, and that's what you really needed, because it gets Neptibus from deck, and that starts everything for you. My goodness. I do think the deck needs just one more water monster to search, because Abyssus is fine. He's okay. He's still being played right now because there isn't really any other good other big waters besides, I believe, New Poseidra. Oh god, what's the elemental lord one? It's Moulin Glacia, I think is what it's called, which is a hand rip, pretty good. Again, I do think that the deck just needs one more Mermail Atlantean that does everything for it. Just one more. Give me one more. It would literally, I think it would be Blue Eyes. But I do think Mermail is a very good contender right now. White Forest, it's weird where I would put White Forest. It still needs its new support in Alliance Insight, and there the deck will go insane. Right now, the deck is still going insane because of the new card they got in Supreme of Darkness, which helps kind of fuse the White Force and Azamita stuff together because it's a lore deck. You know, we gotta play the lore slop deck together. I do think this is very weird because this deck. Hold on, let me just change a few things real quick. Do that, or let me do that, right? Azamita White Force is one of the few decks because in theory it could play through 4 different hand traps and still end on a decent board, or it dies to 1 and your turn is done. The new I'm still gonna wait out to see how the new support works for the deck because it reads crazy, and I think that the deck can do a whole lot because it's one of those decks. It's one of those decks that it can go balls to the walls and hit you to the sun. But at the same time, it's also just very fragile again to the hand traps. Right, Ash Infirm on the right thing, the turn's basically over. Right, Ogre, to stop Deception, of course, or Anti-Spell's banned. I think it's banned, but I think that it's very volatile, right? Kept in check, the deck can't do much, but if unchecked, right, if you don't have the right hand traps, the deck will just go crazy. But now I think that it's just a case of a wait and see kind of. So next up, I do have. Oh, I put Memento Darkblade in here twice. Well, let's ignore this one. Memento again. It's that one deck that if no one reads it and it will go crazy, but you read one card and it's like, oh yeah, the turn's kind of over. Again, this deck will forever be good because as long as they keep retraining old vanillas that we forgot about, the Mementos will have more material to go into their boss monster. Combined creation, he's 5,000 attack. He will beat over anything. I do think that because they got a fusion spell, I do think they should start leaning towards fusion monsters more. Maybe get another fusion because it's weird that they only have just the two fusions: Combined King and Thunder Dragon, or Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon, right? The Memento ones. But that's it. I do think that the deck should lean a little bit more to the fusions. And of course, you can also play with Fiendsmith. You can play with some other variant. But I do think Memento is be that one deck that it'll just stay around forever because as long as it keeps getting retrains of old stuff, it will be there. It will stay there. Exodia, I'm so sorry. I love you. I just hate the fact that it's just gonna make one big dude and you can't out it. Not only that, but it also loses to X, Send Mirror Logic Aggregator, Target, Exodia, and then X search another Ryziel. It sucks because all it has is the spell and trap negate, and of course you can get the other Millennium stuff, but you gotta get to the other stuff, and it's hard because you're playing not only Ankh and Heart of the Blue Eyes, that's Ankh 4, 5, and 6, but you are playing 5 bricks. It'd be really funny if for some reason you draw the 5 pieces of Exodia, but again, it's hard to state that you are playing a deck with 5 bricks, right? It's 5 bricks. Now, I think that this deck will be fine as long as we get more Millennium retrains. I mean, we are confirmed to get one of Gaia. Gaia is putting in a lot of work, by the way. It's been in Blackluster Soldier, it's been in the Cursed Dragon stuff, and now it's being put to work in the Millennium stuff. I'm just saying, Gaia is getting a lot of work in today. Give him a pay raise or something. Make sure his 401k gets paid or something. I do got Mimigul. I do think this deck, another TZ exclusive archetype. I think it's a very sleeper deck because it's one of the few decks here that can play through Shifter. This deck does not care about the graveyard. It cares about if you got a face down monster, because if you got a face down monster, oh, I'm gonna flip that stuff. I'm gonna flip that motherfucker, dude, and I'm gonna fucking plus off of the world. Not only that, but the deck can play, the prerequisite of like 12 to 15 hand traps. I do think that if we ever get more Mimigo stuff, it should help the deck what it's been doing a lot. Keep flipping monsters, make the Xyz, because they got Xyz. Maybe get another Xyz. I think the Mimigo stuff, they really needs like 1 or 2 more cards, and I think it would be there with the top dogs. I do got Fire Kings here. I'm actually gonna put Memento like right here, because it will forever be that deck that's like, it will be good, but I can't overstate how good it can be. I'm gonna put the Fire Kings, the Snake Eye stuff here, because as you know, Fire Kings won a YCS, pure Fire Kings. Now, do I think this deck is good? Yes, I still think the deck is good. However, the problem with the deck is that you have to be one of the best fucking pilots ever. You gotta be one of the best pilots, because you're playing pure Fire Kings. And while this deck had its time to sun with the Snake Eye stuff, pure Fire Kings, you have to be one of the most cracked pilots in the world, and that's what Ding was. He was one of the most cracked pilots in the world, and won with Fire Kings. Now, it's weird to say, because there's always those arguments. Oh, you can just play the pure. This is just different, because you're going to have to deal with the big dogs in the room, right? And those big dogs in the room, right? People have already figured out, like, what should I tech against this, right? And of course, that's what happened in the finals. It was Fire Kings versus Malice, and he dropped 2 Chaos Hunters on Malice, and Malice can't do much against 1 Chaos Hunter. So what are they gonna do against the second Chaos Hunter, right? I can't overstate how good this deck is, or I can't overstate how well you have to play this deck to be good. But it is still very playable. You can still play it, and understand at the end of the day. Oh, I should probably talk. Hold on, before I get to my last final statement, I do got Glad Beast. I think Glad Beast is right. Let me sort this out. Christian needs that, and then we'll do this, and we'll do that. So, Glad Beast is, again, they got new support of Supreme Darkness, and they fixed this thing with Glad Beast. It was originally just tamereditor.deck, where you just get to Tamer Editor, break out a big dude, and then pray to God they can't do anything about it. But now, they brought back to the roots. This is one of the first archetypes in the game. The Battle Phase deck. This was the original Battle Phase deck, before Tenpai, right? Before all that, Glad Beast's goal was to hit something, tag out into another Glad Beast, and get advantage off of it. They fixed that, because you know what they did? They put in a fusion that gets you to the Battle Phase 2. You got a second Battle Phase. If your opponent survives the first one, I don't know how they're gonna handle the second one. I don't know about you, but didn't hear a bell. I heard round 2 was about to start. Now, Glad Beast is in the same boat. I think is in the same boat with Ancient Gears. It needs a lot to get going, right? It needs like 1 or 2. It has 2 card combos to get stuff rolling, or 1 card combos, I mean. But the problem is that if at any point it gets hit by a crucial hand trap like I said in the Nibiru, your turn's basically over, because you can't do much after that. However, if you are rolling in unstopped, unwavered, A train coming through, right? 2 battle phases is insane, right? It's crazy. I'm glad that they fixed the archetype where it got back to its roots, where it's like, oh yeah, you're going to get to the battle phase, and you are going to plus off of it. And of course, Maze of the Masters revealed we're getting a Red Tiara reprint. Thank the Lord that we got a Red Tiara reprint, because I really want to play Glad Beast and Edison. Now, Second Amendment to dog play, you will just stay there. But now, I will say this. At the end of the day, play whatever you want. Play what makes you happy, what makes you think you can have fun. At the end of the day, it is your cardboard. It is the money you spent in this game that allows you to play this. You want to play Labyrinth? Go right ahead. Play Labyrinth, right? You want to play Crystron? Go right ahead. At the end of the day, you are playing a deck that you find fun, you find enjoyment in. If you want to play Sharks, go right ahead. Nothing is stopping you until they ban Beastdweller. Besides that, thank you all for watching. It is good to talk like rant like an idiot again. If you think I'm wrong, I'm probably wrong. It's bound to happen. But if you think you can do better, or you think this is better, tell me. Let me know. I would like to see your arguments. Call me an idiot in the comments. At that point, it's fine. Other than that, though, thank you all for watching. See you guys next time.